Hey everyone, I'm Michael Cole, VP of Marketing at Everflow. Today is going to be a webinar all about how our Google Ads integration works. This one's a little special because we've actually been using Google Ads for the last 2 years with our own Everflow platform to promote Everflow using Google Ads. So we know this extremely well, and this entire integration came out of how we'd set up our internal Google Ads promotions. And the way we'd been doing in the past was Zapier. And so we built this integration to utilize the sort of like learnings that we had learned from promoting ourselves and turn it into this integration. So I'm going to be walking you through our product guide on this. So you'll have to see my face in 2 places, which might be a little disturbing. But the reason we do this product guide here is because the best way to understand the value of this integration and the sort of decisions you can make with it is by looking at real world data. And this tool lets us show you what it looks like from our side while anonymizing the data to not reveal anything personal. So first off, I'm just going to quickly cover why we use Google Ads in the first, like why this integration with Google Ads matters. So the biggest one is when you're running Google Ads doesn't have any details about the quality of your conversions, especially if you're doing anything around like lead or B2B promotions. Google just sees a conversion and they think it's good, but we all know that the quality of different leads and customers are very different. In our case, like when we get demo requests for people signing up for Everflow, there's a fair amount of those that have generic emails like Gmails and Hotmails, and they never respond to any of our outreach. They don't follow up, like they're just completely junk emails. But from Google's perspective, they see a conversion, they see a demo request, they think they're successful. So with this integration, you can take all of the details that you have in Everflow and pass those into Google Ads. So all of your conversion and event data can be passed into Google Ads and given different values. And Google will actually auto-optimize towards higher value driving keywords. So having all of these events in Google means that Google starts optimizing towards what's actually driving your highest quality customers. The other part of this is that it makes it really easy to get all of your Google Ads data into Everflow. And there's a lot of reporting in Everflow that's just so much more effective for making decisions than how Google Ads like default reporting works. So I'm going to be walking through some of the sort of like learnings you can have through this integration. This will be an interactive webinar. So if you ever have any questions, just pop those into the chat or Q&A and I'll try and address them as soon as possible. All right, so let's get into this. So inside the Everflow platform now, you'll see a new integration under Manage Integrations for media buying called Google Ads. So you just have to authorize, the first thing is you're clicking add and then you're authorizing this integration. You're going to give us permission to access your Google Ads account for editing. And what we're editing inside your platform is just the tracking template to make sure that it's passing the right parameters into your Everflow platform so that you have all the data inside of Everflow. All right, so once you authorize it, we are ready to start setting up the first of these Google Ad connections. But before we do that, we want to set up 2 things. One is a partner that all of those Google Ads clicks will be tracked to. And second, making sure that we have an offer that has all of the things that we want to pass into Google Ads set up in advance. Okay, so we recommend creating a new partner called Google SEM that you're having all of the clicks from Google Ads passing into. And we've been doing this for a very long time. So there is, like, we've proven out that this works really well. So create a partner, call it Google SEM, you're good to go there. Next up, we want to set up the offer and make sure that we have all of the events that we're going to be passing into Google Ads. So in this case, I'm going to be talking about specifically the sort of B2B experience and what we do internally with Everflow and how we structure it. So in this case, the base conversion is the demo request on Everflow. It's all good and well But in our case, like if we never had any external data outside of Google Ads, we would think that our best keyword is affiliate marketing. Affiliate marketing is a keyword in Google Ads that has a ton of traffic, drives a ton of conversions. But as soon as you look at the quality of those conversions, like they're all generic emails. They're people that think they're going to get rich quick at home. They have no idea what affiliate marketing is or how to be successful. Like there are lots of demo requests, but they will never become customers. And Google, without having any extra data, is just going to spend all your money on affiliate summit or affiliate marketing because it knows that drives a lot of conversion. So the entire goal of this is how can you pass more data and better data into Google Ads so that it optimizes towards what actually drives your high quality customers. So the first conversion, free trial sign up or demo request. In our case, we used Hubspot. So we use the Hubspot integration Everflow to receive all of the different lifecycle stages from HubSpot into Everflow. And then we pass that data from Everflow as events into Google Ads with different values. So we can say like marketing qualified leads are worth 50, sales qualified leads of like a salesperson has looked at it and determined it's a good fit. That could be $100. And then we have things like, did they become a prospect where they completed the demo request and it's a good opportunity? And finally, did they become a customer? And each of these can be given different values and then fired into Google. And Google will optimize towards the highest value keywords and search terms. So this is an extremely effective way to have Google optimizing towards what you actually care about. What's really cool is that once you actually close a customer, you can actually have additional events past that. This could be things like, did they renew for another year with Everflow? That can be passed into Google. And we actually send that back to the original keyword or search term and say like, hey, actually, we said the value was worth $2,000. Let's add another $1,000 on top of that. Now Google knows for future optimization that search term was extremely high value. So having all of these additional events that you're going to be passing into Everflow is extremely powerful and really lets Google work in your favor. And you can have things like, did they upgrade to more expensive plans? If you're a lead gen company, if you have any upsells, any sort of like cross sells, all of those can be passed into Google. Anything that tells you this customer generates more revenue for you, you want to pass that into Google and have it optimized towards the keywords that drive that kind of user. All right, so now that we have created these events, I am going to add the first offer, and then this is what it looks like when I add the first offer inside the integration. So first off, you're going to put in the name of this configuration, and then you're going to connect your Google Ads account ID. The integration will auto sync, so it's going to pull all of your different manager accounts and ad accounts. So if you're an agency and you manage 10 customers, you're going to be able to select your manager account and then individually set up each of the different ad accounts. What it's going to do is once you set the ad account, it's going to pull all of the conversion actions. So conversion actions is a new feature within Everflow. It's a new feature within Google. They added this about maybe a year and a half now. It's found under tools and settings, and there's a drop down for conversions. So when you go in there, you're going to see this thing of like different conversion actions. And these are basically equivalent to events within Everflow, conversions or events. So you can map all of your conversions and events to conversion actions in Google. You can set different values for each of them. And using those values, Google will optimize towards the search terms, keywords, and display ads that are driving the highest value. So that's why you want to break it out like this, is it allows each of these events to be matched with different values inside of Google and have them auto-optimize towards your highest value placements. So you're going to go in here, you're going to click this little plus sign, you're going to set up the details on each of the different events that you are planning to pass from Everflow. And once we have all of these set up in Google, inside of the integration in Everflow, you're going to be able to select these all. So what does that look like? I'm going to first set up the Everflow Hubspot lead. So I choose my manager account. And if you don't have a manager account, you can just select your ad account here. You won't have this like double selection. You'll select your manager account and your ad account, and then you're good to go. Okay. So here's where it gets really powerful. There is a couple of things here. So first off, you have your Google Ads tracking template. What this does is this integration is going to update inside of Google Ads, both your account settings tracking template and your campaign settings tracking templates with all the parameters that we need to receive in Everflow to start tracking your clicks. So first off, you have Google Click ID. You can select from this dropdown where you want to receive Google Click ID between 6 parameters. So we can pass from Google to Everflow with a parameter called gclid. If you want to just pass it, you use sub 1 through sub 5 for anything where you want to pull reporting on. So we've set it up this way. I would recommend normally just using gclid here, but this was our internal setup for it. So every time we get a click from Google, it's going to pass into our Everflow account under sub 2. And we can also receive the keyword. So every keyword that was used for that user click is going to pass to us so that we can start doing reporting around this. So in this case, every click on sub 2, we're getting the Google Click ID, which is a unique parameter of the user click from Google. We're going to receive the keyword. So this is the keyword that we were bidding on for this. And you can set up additional parameters. So we also do display ads on Google. So in our case, we have sub 5 passing us the placement. The placement is actually in the actual URL that we're receiving the display ad in Google. All right. So once this is set up, every click we're getting from Google is now going to be passing all these parameters, and it's going to be passing under the partner that we created earlier of Google SEM. So in all of your reporting, when you check your reporting, you're going to see every single Google ad click under Google SEM. All right, so the next part of this is the conversion action. So this is going to map the Everflow events to the Google Ads events and pass them every time. So we first activate this, and then we're going down here. And so we've selected our offer. So in this case, we're doing our basic promote Everflow offer. We've selected our first event of lead, and then we mapped it to a dropdown of all the conversion actions we created inside of Google Ads. So I'm saying this offer, this event, it should be mapped to this conversion action of Everflow Hubspot event of lead. And what's going to happen is whenever inside this offer we track a lead event, it's going to automatically pass that into Google Ads. If you set this to a conversion action that has custom value, you can actually select the conversion value here. So you don't even have to go to Google Ads to adjust your value. So if say like we're valuing a marketing qualified lead at $50 and we start looking at reporting, we're like, actually, that's kind of undervaluing. Like if we get a marketing qualified lead, they convert way higher than that. We want to put more of the value as quick as possible inside of Google Ads. So I'm going to change my marketing qualified lead from $50 to $100. If you have the set to custom value inside of Google Ads, you can set the conversion value here to whatever number, and you can adjust it whenever you want to change it. And then the other thing in here that's cool is the conversion is you can apply traffic rules. So in most cases, you're not going to need this. This is a pretty advanced feature, but it's very cool in terms of like what you can do here. So for one instance is you can set it so I will not fire to this conversion action if I see that the email address on the demo request in Everflow has a Gmail, iCloud, Yahoo has a generic email. I can say like never fire those conversions into Google. I only want to optimize towards things that have company emails. So you can actually filter out any email that is not relevant and just never pass that into Google. Another use case is you can set for like amount, you can set the for e-commerce, you can do optimization based on amount. So you can say like, if the amount is over, like the shopping cart total amount is over $500, I'm going to say like, this is a big spender. And I'm going to pass that to a different conversion action inside of Google Ads. And then you can have like conversion action standard buyer and conversion action big ticket buyer inside of Google Ads. And you can pass the your conversions to different to those different conversion actions inside of Google. And then you can start making decisions of like, I'm going to optimize towards the keywords and search terms that are driving these big ticket buyers. So it gets really powerful if you want to do a very advanced use case. But I would say for the most part, really, you're going to keep this disabled and you're just going to be mapping events to conversion actions and then adjusting your conversion values as needed. If you have any questions, feel free to pop these in the Q&A at any time. All right, this is what I was talking about. Okay, so once that's created, basically every click is going to be passing in from Google into Everflow. And then anytime we see this lead event in Everflow, we're going to fire that back into Google Ads, and it's going to optimize around that in Google Ads. So once you're getting this click data coming from Google, how can you use it? So I constantly use the Dimensional Analytics report. I think to me, the Dimensional Analytics report is one of the most useful reports we have in the entire platform for making quick decisions as a marketing leader about where you should focus your time and where you need to optimize. So right now, I'm looking at 4 dimensions. So partner, country, sub 5, and device type. Sub 5 placeholder, we'll walk through what that is in a bit. I have my different partners here. So I'm just going to look at Google SEM. So I filtered down just to that Google SEM partner that we set up earlier and had all of our clicks from Google Ads coming into. So here I have 22 conversions, 6 events. So this is actually looking at a real campaign we ran. So when we first turned on display ads, we literally had this happen where we had a ton of new conversions coming from this display ad campaign and 0 events, which in our setup should have been impossible because we have it so that when HubSpot registers a lead, that fires as the first event in our system. So the conversion is a demo request. Every time there's a demo request, there's an email submitted there should be a lead coming from HubSpot. The reason that didn't happen is because in all these situations, like someone submitted with a broken email that HubSpot didn't even recognize. So we got a ton of like junk conversions. These were very cheap, obviously, display ad, but this was like clear things where it's like, we're getting just complete trash from this display ad campaign. So like we need to optimize right away towards turning off all of the different display ad URLs we're receiving. They were just driving these completely low quality demo requests and also tidying up our geo-targeting. So this is a side that I think everyone should know about Google Ads, but inside of Google Ads, their default geo-targeting is intent-based, which I hate. And intent-based means that someone is from Nigeria is looking up restaurants in France. Google is going to, and you're targeting France in your Google Ads campaign, your display ads are actually going to start showing to those Nigerian users that were looking up stuff in France. It's intent, which as our type of business, and I think for a lot of companies, they can only serve certain markets. They don't want to reach markets that are not their fit. So you need to go into Google and change your geo settings to only be location-based rather than intent-based. And it's not easy to look this up in Google. So one of the powers of saying this integration is like, you're going to very easily be able to see like where you're getting demo requests and events from Google Ads. And then you can just quickly go back into Google and fix this issue and change your geo-targeting. So that's where this country becomes super powerful. You can see that like here are the actual display ads we got, like what the URLs were from those display ad campaigns that were driving these conversions with no events. So we quickly create a blacklist inside of Google Ads to block all of these. And then you can see, like, here's the device type. So almost all of this display ad campaign was coming from mobile, and we have very low engagement on it. So the first day that we turned on display ads, we did a lot of like optimization, fixed our geo-targeting, did a blacklisting of a lot of these display ad URLs. So this is where, like, having this report that makes it really easy to just view all this data and what's driving conversions right away becomes insanely powerful for making just smart decisions that are going to just stop wasting money on things that are just never going to work out. All right. If you have any questions, feel free to pop those in. This is just walking through all the stuff I just talked about. Okay, so now we're looking at this a little bit different. So we're looking at the keywords we're receiving. So we're getting under sub 4 Google Ads keywords. So you can see that we have a bunch of keywords with conversions and events. These are all fake in this case, clearly. And you can see, like, okay, here are our top keywords. And then here are our campaign IDs. So that can be passed into the system too. All of these can be passed into that click parameter thing I was showing you earlier. And there's the tooltip there will actually tell you which are some of the main parameters from Google Ads that we recommend that you pass, which is like the display ad placements, the campaign IDs, and a few other ones. Okay, so we're seeing the countries, we're seeing the keywords we're getting. You can see here that we can make some smart decisions about where to optimize our keywords. So top corgis, there's 6 conversions and 18 events. That's very promising. That's a really good event ratio, which means that there's a lot of either engagement or, like, depending on how you have this set up, like say you have a lead gen campaign, you can have like your first conversion being the, say, like started the lead, and then you can have like an event for completed the lead, an event for lead approved, and maybe an event for like big ticket lead or like high CPL value lead. All these events can be triggered into Everflow and then fired into Google for them to optimize. And then if you have these multiple events all tied to the same conversion, you can sort of quickly see, like, okay, 6 to 18, like that's a really good conversion of base lead to event ratio. That's obviously high value, so I want to get more of that. This one has an even higher ratio, so it's a really great keyword. Whereas this one right here has a lead to event ratio that is much slower. So maybe it's not the right fit. It's not driving the kind of user that's doing the high value events you're looking for. So maybe you want to either prune that, turn it off, or just make some optimization changes there. So there's a question from the audience. Okay, so there's a question about the post specs and everything else here. So this Google Ads integration works quite a bit different than the Facebook and TikTok one. Facebook and TikTok currently work through server-to-server postbacks. The Google Ads integration is not built around server-to-server. So what you want to do here is set up direct linking for handling all this Google Ads stuff. And you can actually have server-to-server working while doing direct linking. Like both of those can be inside of the same setup. You can talk to your customer success rep of how to have direct linking and server to server. But for all this Google Ads stuff, it's going to be a direct linking setup across your entire platform. And it doesn't use the postback format at all. Basically, with direct linking, what's going to happen is, like, a user reaches your website. When they reach your website, we pull the UTM, like the parameters, like Google Analytics. We start the tracking process at that situation. The reason direct linking is really great is because from Google Ads perspective, they are linking directly to your website. There's no redirects. So with Facebook, TikTok, or like with Facebook and Google, like redirect links tend to get flagged regularly or not work at all. So they're much harder to run long-term campaigns using them. So highly recommend direct linking, because then you can have Google Ads just linking directly to your website. We see all the parameters that the integration has appended, and then we start the click tracking process, and then we can attribute all those conversions and events back there. For your partners, we can also, with direct linking, still fire postbacks to your partner, so you're not losing that postback functionality. But yeah, this all is direct linking, so it's a different format. So yeah, Max, I would just recommend reaching out to your customer success team about how to set this up. All right. Another question from Oswin. So their question is, how do you pass Google Click ID and timestamp from Everflow to Google? Okay. Yeah. So with this integration, you don't need to worry about any of that. So what this integration does is whenever you get that conversion or event, it automatically does this for you. So you get a conversion inside of Everflow, it's going to fire that into Google Ads. It is including in that conversion firing to Google the Google Click ID and the timestamp. So inside of your Google Ads account, you will now see, say the conversion came from 10 days ago, that keyword or that display ad will now show one conversion with all the details that you passed from Everflow. So that's what this integration is doing, is it's passing all of those necessary parameters. So Google knows exactly what ad or keyword drove your conversion or event. So you don't need to worry about how to set that up. As soon as you set up the conversion mapping inside of Everflow, that's going to be done on your behalf. Hopefully that answers your question. If you need any more questions on that, feel free to follow up. Okay, another question is with the post, like how are post conversion events tracked? So there's lots of different ways to set it up. The way events work is there's basically three good ways to get events into Everflow. So first off, any of our integrations, so things like Stripe, HubSpot, Salesforce, all of those work by mapping the data from those CRMs or those subscription platforms to events inside of Everflow, so that whenever the CRM updates, that will fire as an event into Everflow. The second one is just simple engagement event tracking or specific page event tracking. So basically, when you visit the Everflow website, as soon as you go to that pricing page, we fire off an event that says visited our pricing page, and that event will be fired back to whatever source drove that, whether that's organic, paid media, or a partner. So you can have all these things where it's just basically, did they visit this page? We have an event conversion JavaScript page, or an event conversion JavaScript on that page that fires off an event as soon as it sees a user on that page. And then the third one is you can fire any number of postback or API events as well. So if you have any internal systems, you have a customer success thing, if there's certain actions that happen inside of that, you can actually fire all those actions as events, or fire all those actions into events in Everflow and attribute those back to partners. So there's lots of different ways to set it up. And if you have any sort of like more complicated setups, definitely reach out to your customer success team to walk through your specific use case and help you get this set up. Next up, so a question is, how many Google Ads accounts can we integrate with? Only one. So you can set up many different accounts with this current setup. And we will be improving this integration to make it a little bit easier, making the sort of setup structure different. But the way it works right now is you can basically have a manager account with multiple ad accounts. You select the manager account, you select the ad account. That's going to map so that you have all the conversion actions. And then you can set up the click tracking template to update that account's settings and campaign settings, and then map to each of those different conversion actions inside of Google with your events inside of Everflow. But yeah, you can set up multiple. It's not there's some stuff that can be a little clunky there. So if you run into anything, definitely talk to customer success. And we're going to be refining this integration to make it even easier to set up multiple ad accounts, multiple offers. But there's some design things that we're upgrading there to reflect this. And definitely give us feedback whenever you start using this integration, because we want to make sure that V2 is really reflecting what our customers need. So what we have right now solves the way that we run this internally, and we know that it adds a huge amount of value. But there's a lot of improvement we can be doing here, so definitely give us feedback there. All right, next question. So next question, when this fires conversion data into Google, will this double count conversions in Google? Yes, kind of. So first off, once you have this running smoothly, you should be turning off Google's attribution. So you can set one of the ways you can set up a Google Ads campaign is to work off of these conversion action, like these, I'd have to look up what the exact terminology is for it, but basically like imported conversions is an option inside of Google, and you can switch it from Google doing the attribution to using imported conversions as the attribution. And so once you do that, I would recommend first getting this running. You can set up the conversions coming from Everflow as secondary, which means that they won't change anything inside of Everflow, or they won't change anything inside of Google Ads, but as a secondary conversion, like they'll all start showing up in Google. And then once you're happy with the data, you can turn off Google's attribution, start using the imported conversions, and then you would switch to primary versus secondary. And once it's primary, Google will optimize using the Everflow conversion data. So in that situation, you won't have any double counting at that point. And the way this whole conversion actions is set up, Google is now used to having multiple different conversions that are all basically the equivalent to Everflow events. So you might get 5 conversions tied to a single keyword that drove one demo request or whatever, or one lead. But that's how Google is designed now. Like, it knows that there should be multiple conversions because it's getting all the different conversion actions tied to it, and it will optimize properly for it. And there's lots of customizations you can do inside of Google to break out the data in the Google reporting as well. So you're seeing all of these individual different conversion actions broken out and how they're performing. So this is all inside of Google now for you to make good decisions. All right, next question. What is the frequency that Everflow will pass conversions into Google? So we pass the conversion straight. As soon as we see it, we're passing into Google in real time. The thing to keep in mind, and this is true of anyone who is importing conversions into Google, is that Google Ads has an arbitrary requirement of 24-hour delay time. So when we start passing conversion from Everflow into Google, it will take 24 hours before it shows up in Google. And this is just some arbitrary requirement on their side. It's unavoidable. So all of these conversion actions will have a 24-hour delay before you can see them in Google. So just keep that in mind when you're first setting this up, that you have to wait a day to start seeing the data. All right, next question. So if a keyword drove a Salesforce lead to become a sales qualified lead, we can fire an event that would tell Google to optimize the keyword towards what drove the SQL. So that's completely correct. So yeah, your CRM data, all of those different stages of the deal that you're seeing inside your CRM, all of that data can be passed into Google, and you can set different values so that Google knows to optimize towards the keyword search terms and display ads that are driving those higher quality later stage deals. Later deal stage, gosh, there's a lot of different terms to unpack. So Google will start optimizing towards those later deal stages. So that's a lot of the power of this, is that you have a lot of data Google doesn't, and you can pass this into Google and have them actually start using it. So another question, they were saying that like currently they're not receiving, like they're not set up to have these things in their tracking template. So Oswin, with this one, basically with the integration, the first part of our integration is there's an option to update the tracking template. And you only need to set this up once, because once the tracking template is set up, you'll have it set up correctly. But what that update the tracking template will do will just append all the parameters that we need. And you can have any number of parameters. So we have, I mean, for our tracking template, we have both the HubSpot integration and direct integration to Google Ads, and we have the Everflow integration. So we're passing, I mean, we're receiving like 12 or 13 parameters every single click from Google Ads into both Everflow and HubSpot. So you can have any number of parameters. So when you turn this integration, any of the parameters you're already receiving are totally fine. This is going to add additional parameters on top. So once we have this, we have everything we need to collect all the data, so that when we pass the data back into Google, we're going to pass it with the timestamp, the Google Click ID, and everything else. But yeah, you do need to turn on the enable, like updating the tracking template once. Once we update it, though, it's good to go. Hopefully, it answers your question. All right. So if you have any more questions, feel free to pipe in. I'll just continue showing you some other stuff that's pretty cool that you can do with this. All right, so this is what I was talking about before. Okay, so this is something that we set up that I really like. This, I'm looking at Google Ads right now. So I highly one of the things with this, just keep in mind, is that we can receive the keyword data inside of Everflow, but we can't receive the search term data. And one of the realities of Google is if you're doing broad match, their idea of intent for search terms is pretty darn wide. And there's a lot of times where you need to be going in and doing a lot of optimization here, just because even with all the data you're getting inside of Everflow, you also need to go into Google and do blacklisting, and you need to look at some of the stuff in terms of search terms. So you can set up a custom report where you're looking at data for both the keyword and the search term. You can see the conversions here and the conversion value. So this gives you all the data you need to start making like good decisions about where to optimize. So for instance, on this first one, we're bidding on the keyword of top corgis, and it decided the intent is corgis and top hats, and we've gotten 8 conversions, and the value is 3,200. So that's super promising that this is a great keyword. It's driving a high value. So maybe you want to break that out into its own specific, whatever it is, like specific match keyword. Where we have our own landing page for this keyword, for this search term, and we are bidding specifically on it because we know it's high value. But it's still a lot of clicks for this conversion, so it's okay. The second one, top corgis, is actually bidding on the search term top corgis, and here you can see the clicks are only 93, and we drove 3 conversions. So this is super high value. We want to put as much budget into this specific keyword as possible. So we definitely want to break that out into just a specific keyword for top corgis that's not broad match, and optimize more towards that too, because of 93 clicks, it drove 3 conversions and $1,200 in conversion value. You can see here that even though we bid on top corgis, we're getting things like corgis on top of horses, not relevant at all, but we're also not getting a lot of clicks for it, so it's fine. Down here, we're bidding on the keyword of how to find happiness through corgis, and it just thought the search term is something about how to find happiness in meditation, completely irrelevant for what we're looking for. I want to deactivate that. And likewise, how to find happiness in corgis, it's also thinks it's a happiness project. In that case, it drove a lot of clicks, and some of those clicks became conversions, but those conversions had, like, none of them were the right kind of user where we put any value into it. And so we need to make sure we turn this off, Google is going to think this is a good keyword by default because it sees a bunch of conversions. But because we're also passing values here, like we know that just because it's driving conversions doesn't mean that it's our ideal type of customer or even a good fit at all. So you want to go in here and do negative, like set a bunch of keywords and search terms to negative match, just to make sure that you're not going to bid on these, because these are never going to drive the right kind of customer or opportunity. So this is where it becomes really powerful, is that being able to look at search terms and see not only the conversion, but the conversion value really lets you make good decisions about what you need to blacklist and what you need to break out into its own specific campaign where it's not bidding on other search terms as well. That way, all the budget's going towards it. All right, gonna look at some questions. So Oswin has a question about, do I need to use Zapier? Do I need Zapier to use Google Click ID? So that was the old setup. This integration passes the Google Click ID for you. So you no longer need to use Zapier at all in this process. That is a outdated help desk. That was how we had the setup before we had this integration. So the entire purpose of this integration is that you no longer need to worry about all the stuff. We'll handle it for you. Okay, next question. Does conversions include post-conversion events? Yes, by default, these conversions inside of Google are all conversions and events. So it will have all of the additional events you're passing into there. But can you isolate this? Yes, you can. So you can actually build reports inside of Google that will actually break out a column by each conversion action. So the way we have this set up internally is we have a column for the lead, the MQL, the SQL, the prospect opportunity, and then the customer. Those are different columns that are all broken out, and we can see how many of each of those conversions happen. So yes, you can break this out. But this is one of the things where it's like, you want to make sure you have reporting that's easy to use, and then you have reporting when you want to drill into it. For the easy use reporting, you want like having just conversions and conversion value. It's as long as you have the conversion value where you have a lot of the conversion value on these later stage events, it's very easy to eyeball what's working versus not working. And then you can always check the reporting where you have the columns broken out for making additional decisions. But I think you want the easy reports to understand, and you want the reports when you want to go deep, and you can have both those inside of Google. And we pass those split out by conversion action, so it's easy to do. One more question. So yes, as long as you have the Google Click ID and the tracking template and it's being passed into our system, which our system will automatically set this up in that way, that's all you need. If Everflow is getting on every click from Google Ads to Google Click ID, then we know where to pass that data back to Google. And then Google, because say like a week ago, the ad came in with this unique Google Click ID, Google will receive the conversion and they will show it up under that ad from a week ago, because they know that that user had this unique Google Click ID and that it maps to that ad. So as long as the tracking template is passing us that information, which our integration will automatically set up, that's all you need for it to show up in Google in the proper place. So Oswin, just on this, just to be clear that the Google Ads integration right now is just for Everflow customers. So this will be something that you're setting up inside of your own Everflow platform. That this may be the case for what the questions you're asking, but I just want to make sure to clarify this. So our integration today only is for your own Google Ads campaigns for each Everflow customer. It's not for your partners to use. We will be updating this so that this data is going to be passed, like your partners are also going to be able to set this up and promote on your behalf using Google Ads. And you're able to pass any of the conversion event data you're passing to your partners and affiliates. They can actually receive that data inside of their ad accounts. But that's part of V2. It's definitely on our roadmap and we'll get this running. But This current integration is just for you to run your own Google Ads campaigns for you as the Everflow customer. You can run your own Everflow ads campaigns, or if you're an agency, you can manage all your different your clients, where you can set up each of those clients and then pass this into each of those clients' accounts. But it's only Everflow customer, their Google Ads accounts. It's not for your partners yet. We will be adding that though. All right. Let's see if there's anything else to talk about here. This is what I was covering. And again, for this entire product guide, you can see it and walk through it yourself. And that is it for this webinar. If you have any other questions, anything you want to cover, anything about how we do our own Google Ads, I'm happy to be completely open to it. You can always send me an email at michael@everflow.io if you have any specific questions. Like, we're very happy to be an open book, exactly how we've set this up and why we think all these things, well, why we know these things have helped a ton with our ability to drive our own customer growth through Google Ads. So yeah. Any last questions before I wrap this up? Let's see, another question. Yes, this webinar will be available to watch again, and we will be adding it to the help desk entry as well. And like I said, this entire product guide is available too, so you'll be able to walk through step by step with less additional asides added, so it'll be a little bit easier to follow. Cool. Any other questions? I'll give it one more minute, just if anyone's typing anything, and then I will wrap it up. All right, looks like we are good. All right, thanks everyone. Again, we will be sending this out after, as soon as we get this recorded and polished. We'll send out the recording, we'll add this to the help desk, and we'll provide the product guide. Have a wonderful day.